Okay, investigating functions. One of the primary things here is going to be knowing what all of these things mean and how to find them. A graph, an XY table, x-intercepts, y-intercepts, domain and range, vertex, determining if it's a function or not. Okay, and what is its shape, and does it have a name? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to walk you through some of this. Now, a lot of this is done on the calculator. Okay, so when we enter this equation, negative x squared minus 4x, into our calculator, we're going to go to the table function to get some table values here. And I would like you to kind of find values on each side of this vertex, which is a point that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to put that number in the middle of my table. Okay, so these are the x values I'm going to use. If you don't know that, you always take the number with the x and divide it by 2. And that will tell you where that vertex is going to happen. My y values here, okay, 0, negative 5, and then I got 3 and 0. And I plot these points, okay, and I'm going to draw the shape. And I'm going to start finding some of these pieces. Okay, so I have the graph, I have the table. All right, my x-intercepts are where my graph crosses the x-axis. In this particular case, they're nice numbers, negative 4 and 0. I need to write them as coordinates. Negative 4 and 0, 0 are my two x-intercepts. My y-intercept is where it touches the y-axis. That's the vertical axis. Okay, and that happens to be the same as the x-intercept of 0, 0. By definition, a vertex is the highest or lowest point. So when I look at my graph here, the highest point happens right there. So that's going to be negative 2, 4. My domain will be all possible x values. These arrows tell me my graph is going on forever. I realize this looks like down, but it's also left. This looks like down, but it's also right. So if it's going on forever to the left and to the right, my domain is negative infinity to infinity. My range will be my lowest y values. So how far down is this going? Negative infinity. My highest y value, there is a ceiling here. It is 4. So when I write my range, I'm actually going to have negative infinity less than y less than or equal to 4, because it actually has a point at 4. Is it a function? Does it pass the vertical line test? And that will be yes. A hint for that, if your calculator graphs it, it will always be a function. What is its shape? It is a U shape. Okay, you could say it's upside down if you wanted to. And this is called a parabola. It's from the quadratic family. Okay, so there's the first investigating a function that you'll see. And the second one is a little bit different. So this is an absolute value. We've talked a little bit about absolute values in class so far. All right, again, we're going to utilize the graphing calculator to do this, and I'm going to fill in the table for my important values. Okay, so I'm going to use the x value of 3, 4, 5, and 6, 2, and 1. Okay, when I plug those numbers in, all right, to my table, I'm going to get some y values, and again, I'm going to use the graphing calculator for a lot of this. So negative 2, negative 1, and negative 1, 0, and 1. When I plot these points, negative 2, all right, this is what I end up getting for my graph. Okay, so I have the graph, I have the table. I look at my x-intercepts. Where does it touch the x-axis? These are all nice numbers. All right, when they're nice numbers like this, it's great. In class, I'm going to show you what to do when they're not nice numbers. So my two x-intercepts are 1 and 5. My y-intercept this time is its own point, 0 and 1. My vertex, this one does have a vertex again, has a lowest point, which will be right here. That point is 3, negative 2. Domain, yet again, is x values. So this arrow goes up and left. This arrow goes up and right forever. So negative infinity to x to infinity. And the range, okay, the lowest this graph goes is negative 2. And both these arrows are going up, so it goes to infinity. So negative 2, it actually equals that to infinity. Is it a function? Does it pass the vertical line test? Yes, my calculator graphed it too. It is a V shape. All right. And last, its name is absolute value. Okay. And last, I just want to give you a brief summary of some of these other types of graphs that we may see and what their shapes are. Okay, we have linear functions, our straight lines. We just did a quadratic, which is a U-shaped parabola. We did an absolute value, which is a V-shape. There are some other ones we might do. Square roots or radicals look like half of a sideways parabola. A cubic is increasing and decreasing. Okay, and then an exponential, we've talked about that. That's a geometric sequence. Okay, or looks like a geometric sequence. And that actually has a special place on it, but we're not going to do too many of those. So these are some other functions and their shapes.